Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our podcast Classical Discoveries. I think now we have something more untypical for us, no? In this episode.
It's a composer no one needs to discover.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or actually,
maybe something to discover, no? But let's talk about this. So happy birthday, Johann Strauss. His 200th anniversary. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. I think this is enough Blue Danube boards. We find a better version from it, no? Than just our singing.
Well, two little choristers singing Strauss.
So we are talking about, honestly, not about Johann Strauss, because I'm sure there are 200, 300 podcasts already about Mr. Johann Strauss.
And just because it's not our style to talk about what people think we might talk about.
Come on, it's wonderful music. I mean, it's not Penderecki string quartet, but similar.
I'm not saying it isn't, but we tend to champion the unheard of classical discoveries, not classical obviousness.
Yeah, right. The champions for classical discovery composers.
The underdogs.
The underdogs. And we want to focus now today, ladies and gentlemen, about the contemporaries who lived in the same period, composed the same style of music. I mean, also Brahms lived in the same period, and Bruckner lived in the same period.
And
but
Wagner.
They're talking now about a kind of light music.
Popular light music.
Popular.
Mostly in the form of waltzes and polkas.
Exactly. And to be honest, the Strauss family, not only Johann Strauss alone, the Strauss family at this time in Vienna really, how to say...
They had a syndicate, essentially.
A syndicate, really. This is the best, they have been a syndicate at the time, really, to say. I remember because, I didn't live there.
Well, you are older than I am.
No, for example, Josef Strauss, his younger brother, who also made wonderful waltzes and so on, he was originally an engineer. And he prepared cleaning machines for the city of Vienna at the time. But when Johann got ill and could not go to St. Petersburg, the mother said, "Come on, Joseph, you have to compose now, you have to conduct now." So the family company always had to roll on in this kind.
And it starts with the father, of course, if not earlier.
It starts with the father, of course, yes, and there was already a big fight. And when the father didn't know that Johann suddenly will start also his own orchestra and his own capella, how we say that. So really it was a big fight in Vienna between both of them, between son and father. But when father died, then the two orchestras came together.
Right, but the father didn't live very long. He was 45 when he died.
Yeah, and the only thing we know from his father is the famous Radetzky March, This is also crazy. But he also composed hundreds of waltzes and polkas on, but no one take care anymore.
I'm sure some of them are occasionally played at the New Year's concert.
Yeah, of course, they always have to show something new and
something that's not.
Yeah, but the other problem was that the youngest brother, the Eduard Strauss, he did the last concert in New York, and then he came back to Vienna and he said, "I stop everything," and he burned the whole archive from the Strauss family. So we lost a lot of works, and what we still have, they all have been copies, of course, from other
of which there must have been a lot, because it was such popular music for bands to pick up and play.
Absolutely. I mean, we should not forget they had no CD player, no radio at the time. So if you need something light music for your wedding or for a ball or for a birthday, whatever, you need to engage musicians. But originally, Johann Strauss was not really the founder of the Viennese operetta, because we say the real founder was Franz von Suppè.
I think there is not a controversy, but there's a discussion. Is it Franz von Suppè, actually?
Yeah.
Which sounds funny in German because it means Franz
Suppè.
of soup.
Yeah.
So people figured, it couldn't possibly be Suppè. It has to be Suppè, and there's an accent, but then there's a whole discussion, when was the accent added and by whom and in which direction does it show. So we'll call him Suppè. That sounds just a little nicer.
Yeah, but Suppè really wrote a lot of operettas.
And Suppè, of course, you mentioned it earlier. He's a
From Dalmatian, yeah.
He's a Dalmatian.
Yeah. Dalmatian, you said? Dalmatian,
well, I mean,
okay.
he earned his spots, as it were, being Croatian. Although being Croatian, he was part of the Habsburg Empire.
In that time was Habsburg Empire, but the funny thing is that we Austrians love Croatia, have been many times in Split, but no one noticed that there is such a famous composer we make him famous now, such a composer like Franz von Suppè. Of course, there was a big rivalry from France, from Mr. Jacques Offenbach. And Offenbach, who originally was a German, I mean, he was born in Cologne. Less people know this,
And he was a cellist in the Paris Opera.
Exactly. And he had huge success with these lightning versions of a little opera. Can you say operetta is a kind of little opera?
That's technically exactly what it means,
yeah,
right?
So
it's the diminutive of opera.
The funny operas in this point, yeah. And the interesting thing is that they always, Offenbach choose many stories from the Antike. So like Die schöne Hélène, La Belle Hélène, Orpheus in the Unterwelt, Orpheus in
the underworld.
In the underworld, I would say underground. Orpheus in the underworld, okay.
That's a different story.
So Viennese was a bit scared and said, we also want to have such kind of operettas here in Vienna, like Offenbach did. And so they asked, for example, Franz von Suppè, or Suppè, Franz von Suppè, to write Die schöne Galatea, which also has an antique story. And I find it so curious how many operas we know with antique stories. Hundreds of them?
Well, I mean, they've been around.
Like Iphigenie in Auris and
not just there, but in Taulied as well.
Yeah.
I've just seen that at the Innsbruck festival.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the canon of stories that people grew up with, that they learned in school, that they back then still read in the original Greek, usually. And these are great stories. I mean, I remember when I was reading Homer, or transliterations of it.
Yes, of course, but this all was in such a dramatical way, so heart bleeding or whatever, this
Offenbach makes incredible things.
Yeah, and now comes the funny version out of it, And for that, as Offenbach had the beautiful Helena, or Die schöne Helena, Suppè made then Die schöne Galatea as a counterpoint to the Vienna version versus Offenbach Paris versions. So after the Galatea, we heard the world-famous Light Cavalry, which at the end was also a complete operetta. But today we only know the overture from this.
Yeah, I only recently realized that among my considerable collection of CDs, I didn't have any Franz von Suppè. And so I got at least the overtures, I think with Schulte actually. And you'd think that would be awfully German, but very...
No, I mean, this is very, very good made,
very well
lightning music.
Lightning, yeah. The first bit, the overture from the Galatea, that could have also been Gibbard and Sullivan.
Yeah.
Sort of slight military.
I think at that time you don't know really who copied from whom, and
it's a certain language.
And
it's going to sound similar unless you really know these composers in detail. It's like if you're taking a cruise on the ocean and you see a whale, you say, "Oh my God, it's a whale!" But if you're a marine biologist, you take one look at the fin and it's like, "Oh, that's Jennifer." Because
and as we just talked before, because of these antique stories and Offenbach, as example now, you find funny gods in La Bella Hélène or the beautiful Helena. German recording, a German version, because of course also the Offenbach operettas were translated here to be played in Vienna, and as we said already before, this was a great fight between the Viennese operetta composers and Mr. Offenbach.
I mean, back then, first of all, it makes sense to translate an operetta, and I personally think that operettas should probably still be translated. Because why gonna? There are maybe a handful where you really would just go for the music, but it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be understanding, and you're not supposed to be craning your neck at the supertitles or burying it in your subtitles.
Of course,
it makes no sense to play a Fledermaus abroad in German, I don't think. It's supposed to be funny. And there's a lot of dialogue as well, so what are you going to then sing in French but have the dialogue in German? That's actually a reasonable compromise, but translate away.
No, I once saw a Fledermaus in Stockholm.
In Swedish?
In Swedish, and it was called the Lederlappen. You're absolutely right, because otherwise you don't really will understand these jokes immediately, so on. So. And there always have also been little political messages in this kind of operettas, this musical piece called Couplets, these typical couplets. And these operetta couplets were never really sung, so, but mostly actors or comedians with orchestra and so on, and they sang it.
But ultimately, I mean, people don't. It's the role of Frosch.
Yeah, okay, it's the role of Frosch, but Frosch has not the couplet to sing.
He doesn't have to sing, he's really just truly his but if you do a Fledermaus anywhere in the world, you update the jokes for him, and you do them. I mean, I've seen it in Washington D.C. and it was in English, and of course, unfortunately, it was very tastelessly done. It was Monica Lewinsky jokes at the time, but you have to update it, otherwise it loses its je de vivre, or the frizzante.
Exactly, and this is a very simply composition style, nothing really blah, so that also an actor who has not really a singing voice can do it, and they always send out a lot of messages to the people of the actual political situation. So that's why the authorities will always be a bit afraid if a new operetta comes on stage. What will they do, or what will they talk about?
Right, because they could censor a libretto, but they can't censor someone improving. Play on stage.
Exactly. But I will give you now an example of this kind of couplet, because there is a famous Austrian actor, so he will not be well known.
So it's completely useless for our audience.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Mein Schatz ist die Dine, die Leopoldine. Sie hat eine wahrhaft bezaubernde Miene. Die Augen wie Kohlen, wie Kirschen der Mund. Das Köpfchen entzückend, so klein und so rund. die Füße zierlich, zart und klein, die Hände vornehm, schlank und fein, bezaubernd auf Ehre sieht sie wirklich aus. Nur eins, ich mach kein Geheimnis daraus. So dünn, dünn ist die Leopoldine, dünn, dünn, wie ein Beistrich so dünn, wie die Streichhölzel, wie die Stricknadel, wie die Spinnweben, wie zum Einfadeln, wie ein Faden, dünn ist die Leopoldine, dünn.
So it was just an example of how the musical structure is of this kind of operetta couplets. But Ziehrer made 22 operettas.
Of which we know exactly 0.
We know exactly only the Landstreicher, the maybe, yeah. I mean, Johann Strauss made 15 operettas.
We know one.
Yeah, we know Fledermaus, the Gypsy Baron, you know, okay, they're 10 times more. Huh? But in the same time, such a guy like Ziehrer composed 22 operettas. And nothing is played anymore, or really was played anymore. But for example, from Karl Michael Ziehrer, Die Landstreicher, I don't know what is... The Vagabonds, yeah, exactly. The Vagabonds is the only thing that really survived a bit, and he could also compose really beautiful, how you say, such a heart-touching piece for a typical request show.
Wenn im Lenz die jungen Rosen mit den Abendlüften kosen, zur leichte Blütenflor euren Liebesfrühling vor, wie im Traum mit Liedchen sang, die ans Herz das Liebes war, verlockte Jacques klingt, und das kleine Heimchen singt, sanft und leis, zip, 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 zip. Hab dich lieb, so innig lieb, ach. Sei gepriesen, du lauschige Nacht, was zwei Herzen so glückliche macht. Und der Jahre in prangender Stadt bringt den Mann, großen Mann. Und der Klapperstor klapperte zu, euch jagen, euch lass ich in Ruh, euch den Schwanz vor der Regen ein, vor der Junge erbeten.
Schnulzen.
Yeah, and now translated, what is a Schnulzen in English?
A weepy rag.
A weepy rag, yeah. Karl Michael Ziehrer later on became a Kapellmeister of the K&K Deutschmeister. This was a regimented Deutschmeister.
Okay, so military band.
A military band, yeah, and therefore he composed also a lot of waltzes and marches, and also an operetta, die Deutschmeister. Yeah. And this, just to repeat, this all have to do was during the time of Johann Strauss.
Right. And the bread and butter for Strauss was not composing operettas, although that probably was very lucrative as well.
Yeah, no, the bread and butter was really the waltzes.
The waltzes,
more than 500
and
waltzes.
The band,
yeah,
which he would take to different venues, but especially there's a what do you call it, a beer garden near Schönbrunn, or an open air.
Yeah, or the Domeyer was a famous coffee house with a big garden there. Yeah.
And that's where they would entertain people with light music, which was essentially the pop music of its day.
Of course.
However, it is in these concerts that Strauss prepared the ground for the music of Richard Wagner.
Oh yeah,
to be appreciated in Vienna. The differentiation between popular music or light music and serious music at the time didn't really exist, or in any case it was it wasn't abrupt. And so of course Wagner was someone that was new and that was people were interested, and Strauss would arrange pieces from his operas to play in those concerts, and they were hugely popular. And it really whetted the Austrians' appetite for his operas.
But he didn't make a Lohengrin polka or a Tannhäuser waltz?
No, I think he just actually took excerpts from these pieces and played them.
Okay.
I mean, bleeding bits, we would say today, but it was essentially free advertising for Wagner.
Okay.
And by the time Wagner actually did come to Vienna as an adult with an opera, he had visited when he was younger, the audience was primed and ready, and was already able to appreciate the tunes. And it always helps. If you go to an opera and you hear it for the first time, it's usually a little difficult, especially Wagner. If you already know some of the music, that's fantastic for you.
Okay, now there's also something what is still today many people play now. This comes from Josef Hellmesberger. He was a famous conductor, philharmonic player, violin player, and so on.
His descendants are still in the Vienna Philharmonic to this day.
There is still Hellmesberger. This is a long family tradition, music family tradition.
Right.
There is a fantastic Teufelstanz, Devil's Dance. And I want to show you that the operetta could also listen a bit different. We are talking now about the golden age of operetta, but there is 10 times more in the silver age of operetta. That means after Johann Strauss, after the death of Johann Strauss, with Eduard Künneke and Oscar Strauss and so on.
Now, we would be remiss to our vast Danish audience and fans, I dare say.
Hundreds of them, thousands.
If we didn't mention the Danish Strauss.
There is a Danish Strauss?
There is a Danish Strauss, and it's Hans Christian Lumbye. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Okay.
And he was just 9 years younger than Strauss Senior.
Okay.
Or Langer, as it were. And he heard a band of Styrian musicians.
Not Syrian. Styrians.
Your corner, your neck of the woods. Who played in, I think, in Copenhagen somewhere. And he was fascinated by it. He was fascinated also by how fascinated the people were. And once these Styrians were out of town, he meant to fill the gap, the void that they had left. So he founded his own, essentially, waltz and polka orchestra.
Okay.
And when the Tivoli, the big area in Copenhagen, the big garden was built with a pavilion, that was precisely for him, or if not for him, but he saw the opportunity, and he had a band that filled that pavilion with music every night.
Okay.
And he had a license to play, only for him to play music there, and it was the biggest success of the whole garden. That was the big draw. People would come, and hear. And there's a beautiful record. I hadn't heard of Lumbye either until recently. When Lars Ulrik Mortensen and his Concerto Copenhagen, which is a wonderful band that people would associate with Bach and Baroque music, but they played in the original style his music, and it's just as sparkly and champagnely frizzy music as that of the models that he built it on, except for the Danish accent.
If you're tired of the Vienna New Year's concert, I'll go to Denmark.
Or maybe they'll play Lumbye or maybe they have, I don't know.
Okay. I have one composer who died in the same age like Johann Strauss. This is Karl Millöcker. And that time the critics always said the big three operetta or composers in Vienna have been Franz von Suppè, Johann Strauss and Karl Millöcker. But Karl Millöcker, really no one even noticed really about him in our times. But he wrote more than 20 operettas. And his famous one I want to play a bit is Gasparone. And if you listen now this, you will remember immediately.
Dunkelrote Rosen bring ich, schöne Frau, und was das bedeutet, wissen Sie genau. Was mein Herz empfindet, sagen ich nicht kann. Dunkelrote Rosen deuten Zartes an.
So this is really such a heart-touching.
Well, you can just see
Yeah.
old Germans,
Yeah.
sort of swaying with the music.
Oh, you're so bad. You will also get old. What, you will swing with Penderecki's string quartet?
True. I mean, once the hip doesn't work, that's all the movement you can get. But I must say that did not ring a bell. I'm not sure I've heard that one.
But this is already like it because of the radio, it became such a kind of Schlager here
Okay.
already. You know the thing. But no one really knows the composer. They just know the title. And this is again such one for grandmother's birthday.
But now let's move on to the Silver Age, I guess.
I have a composer for us, and be happy it's the last one now, who is really a good bridge from the Golden Age to the Silver Age, and his name was Oscar Strauss. And
Not
Oscar
related?
Strauss has nothing to do with Johann Strauss. He also cancelled one S in his name
To distinguish himself.
just not to get mistaken with the big Strauss family. And Oscar Strauss went as a young man. I mean, he was born in 1870, so when he was about 15 or 18, he went to Johann Strauss and played him something about I don't know, some kind of cantata, symphonies or whatever, piano
Serious.
pieces. Very serious. And Johann Strauss said like this: "Oh my God, you're so talented, but please stop with this serious thing. Make some waltz, make some nice music, some waltzes."
There's more money in that too.
More money in that, and funny enough, he did it, and he did a lot of operettas too. And one of his that time very famous operetta have been the Merry Nibelungs, die lustigen Nibelungen. So, which is an operatic paraphrase to
It's a parody of the Ring Cycle.
A parody of the Ring Cycle in 1.5 hours. No, it's absolutely fantastic. It's a very funny story. Of course, Siegfried didn't die at the end. They make a deal like with Hagen and Gunther. They made a deal around. But the music itself, you have the same characters like in the Nibelung, but really in a crazy funny story and also funny music.
Ich bracht's auf dem Gymnasium mit Not bis Obertertium, denn das verfluchte Studium macht keinem Recken Scherz, ja. Mein Vater sprach gerührt zu mir: Hier hast du deine Waffen, du bist der rechte Mann, dir eine Existenz zu schaffen. So war's bei den Germanen seit Altersbrauch, so taten's unsere Ahnen und wir tun's auch.
So war's bei den Germanen seit Altersbrauch, so tat es unsere Ahnen und wir tun's auch.
I think there have been many Wagner parodies.
Yes,
we could make an own podcast about Wagner parodies.
And once you really know and love your Wagner, and you've already gone through Derek Koch's leitmotif collection, that's the next level, is to listen to light music making light of Wagner in a serious way and finding it funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think it was really a light episode this time, not so heavy.
I will dance now.
You will dance, okay. We hope you can dance a bit too and wish you all the best. Hope to see you next time. Genau.